What's going on, everybody? This video is going to be a bit different because I've been thinking about using some of the teachings that I've taught here on this channel and giving you examples on how it works, on how they happen in real life and how they interact sometimes. And I'm going to start simply today with a simple one, a very easy one to see, but one that you might not have seen. So what's this video about? This video is basically going to be about what is the purpose of negativity? What could be a purpose? What could be the cause? Not necessarily the cause, but the actual purpose. Now some are going to be pretty obvious, right? Like if you're angry because somebody, stole something or whatever it might be, it's because you like that thing and you didn't want to get to be gone or something. But it's more complicated than this in some other instances. Like say you feel guilty for something or regret for something. What purpose for that would there be? Well, there could be a couple of purposes. One purpose could be that it's trying to remind you, it's like the guilt could be like a reminder to not do that thing again, or to motivate yourself to figure out a better way of doing whatever you did. So that guilt leads you to more awareness, which means that guilt's not really necessary at that point. But and so you can use it in that particular case. Often it's not used that way, though. Often it goes a little excessive. But these are just ways in which you can use these emotions to create a purpose for them, so to speak. Often, though, when it comes to these emotions, they're just strong. They might be strong, and you may be overcome by them. Which is why it's important to be present, focus on the inner body, or do any other techniques that I talked about. So what about fear? Like some of them you can understand, right? Fear. You can fear something. But what about like irrational fears, or so-called irrational fears? What could you consider to be a purpose for that? Technically, these purposes aren't necessarily inherent within these emotions. But what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to give you a different way of looking at them, so that when you see these emotions, you go, "Wow, these emotions are bad. Let me try and get rid of them." Instead, you'd be like, "Well, these emotions have a purpose. Now I see why they're. Now I see them. Now let's try and figure out why it's causing." And then once they're gone, once the purpose is figured out, the emotion is not necessary at that point. And often, more awareness is usually enough to, diminish the strength of those emotions. So, when it comes to fear and irrational fears, what could be the purpose? What could be a good way of thinking of it is like a way of being more aware. What could be trying to figure out what to explain what I'm trying to say here. But think of these these emotions that I'm talking about as like signposts. They're like teachable moments, kind of, because what they're doing is they're showing you, wow, maybe I'm not unaware. Maybe I'm unaware here. Maybe these emotions are showing me, like the guilt one, for instance. Maybe it's trying to show me that maybe I don't want to do that because I'm going to feel this pain anymore, or whatever it might be. Hold on a sec. So that's what I mean by purpose. So basically, you're just giving it a meaning, because that's really what we're doing here. So with irrational fears, what you could say to yourself is, well, this irrational fear is here because of, maybe I'm just not aware enough. Like, it could be contextualized based too. Basically, what this means is, like, you look at the emotion, and based on, like, basically what the emotion is, or basically what you're, like, say, let's take a so-called irrational fear, right? Let's say you take this fear and you look at it and, like, why is this happening? What's the cause of this fear? And then you look at the cause of the fear, and you're like, wow, the purpose of this fear was to make me more aware. And this is how you can, like, strengthen your memory and your context-based way of looking at these things. And that sounds a bit complicated, but it's really not that complicated. So let's take a fear of, like, I don't know, darkness or something. I mean, that's not really a fear that most people have, but let's just take that as an example. So say you have this fear of darkness. Whenever you whenever you find yourself in darkness, notice that fear and ask yourself, why? What could be the cause of this? And try and, like, look into that fear with your awareness. And you might find out that it was caused because one day when you're younger, like a bug crawled on you in the dark or something, and you were, like, afraid. So it kind of got stuck in your mind. So it could be used, and then you realize, wow, this could be an interesting, like, why didn't I just get afraid of bugs or something? Like, I don't know, like, there's all kinds of different ways you can look at this, because it's all based on your current context. Basically, it's all based on your current web of reality, you could call it. So it's really not that complicated, but it sounds more complicated than it is, because everybody's reality is different. Everybody's going to have a different contextualized reality. It's going to influence their behavior. So basically what I mean here is that, like, say you have this fear of the dark, you're going to be doing things to avoid this fear and not feel this fear, or whatever it might be. Whether that be, like, I don't know, doing drugs or alcohol or watching television or whatever it may be, keeping the light on at night, anything at all to avoid this fear, because the mind does not want you to feel the pain or the fear, because when it does, I don't know, it's just afraid of the fear and the pain, I guess. So you just feel the fear, and you look at it and you go, wow, what could be causing this? Well, not even necessarily what could be causing this, but just feel that fear. And realize that fear is like a signpost saying, hey, wait a second, this fear is caused because you were not aware, or you were not aware enough to dispel the fear. This is a very, like, rambly episode. I might end up just putting it on my podcast, but and so the reason why I'm mentioning this is because, when you have an emotion, oftentimes we do what is often the opposite. We don't actually see them as, like, guideposts or lessons. Like everything in life could be considered a lesson or a signpost or a teaching. Let's say you fall down the stairs or something. Oftentimes, what'll end up happening is you'll end up seeing that and going, "Oh my God, what an embarrassing person I am! I'm such an idiot." Instead of realizing, "Wow, this could be like a teachable moment here. Like, why did I do this?" Because I was unaware. I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing, so I fell down the stairs. And I had a whole bunch of stuff in my hands or something like that. That's what I mean. Why your life could be like a key lesson, or a teachable moment, or a teaching, or a guidepost. Because what's happening here is that you're trying to become, or not you're trying to become, but life is trying to make you more aware. This is why, this is because we're raising our consciousness, we're raising it to the next level of density, like I talked about in not the last video, but the video I made yesterday called the 7 levels of density. So every moment that seems like it could be a failure isn't actually a failure. What it is a teachable moment. It's guiding you. It's guiding you closer and closer and closer to more awareness and more like wisdom, more knowledge, I suppose you call it like more know-how, stuff like that. So this is what awareness does. It like awakens you more. This is what life will do to you, especially if you're like not aware. If you're not aware, if you don't do these things, you don't look at them like they are, like guideposts, you're going to have this problem of lack of awareness, and you're going to see failure as a problem instead of and not even necessarily an opportunity to grow, but as a way for you to become wiser. And this is true for emotions. I've talked about this in some ways, but I'm trying to expand on it more, I guess. So this is true for emotions just as much as it is for some so-called failure in the world. So like anger, like all kinds of emotions. Like why am I? That's why it's good to ask these questions. It's not always easy to know what the wise answer is, which is why I've given you a bunch of like teachings, like the wise observer, which is basically like imagine that you're some wise observer or master or saint looking in upon your life or whatever, who has these answers that you're asking for. So you take that like vantage point of the wise observer, and you're looking and you say, why is this happening? Is this what basically another way to ask this question, which may be more a better way to answer or ask it, is what is this trying to teach me? What message is hidden in here? What is the lesson here? And the more you do this, the more you like apply these messages and these teachings and these wisdoms, the more aware you'll become, and the less maybe the less it'll even happen. Or if it does happen, you'll be more aware and you'll be more wise enough to deal with it differently and maybe more effectively. So, I mean, there's a lot more that I could talk about with this one, but I'll just leave it now. I know this video is a little rambly. I mean, I didn't exactly expect it to end like this, but I actually like the way it ended better. Sorry. Got lost on the recording there. So anyways, this is the Wisdom Matrix. If you like this video, please like it, share it with other people if you got some kind of benefit from it, and you subscribe if you want to see more videos from me in the future. This is the Wisdom Matrix, and I'll see you in the next video.